Hello, I'm J-Dog John Karstrom. Guys, let's talk about something really dry, very boring, shall I say. Well, I don't want to say boring, it's really quite important. And we're talking about some ingredients about hanging baskets, of course, right? So to create a really good hanging basket, and I want a rock and roll type hanging basket, meaning that blooms like crazy all throughout the summer season. Of course, we can have hanging baskets throughout the year. We make hanging baskets in the winter time, make hanging baskets in the fall. But something to really start out with is not even about the looks of the basket. It's not even about the type of basket, how the size of it, the actual container. What I really want to talk about just for a few moments, really important moments, is to talk about the actual soil in the container. Let's take a look at what we use here. Now I have two bags here of planting power, which is a great one for in the ground, and I have container power, which we use for our hanging basket. Now you're out shopping, right? And you're thinking, and you're at the cash register, and you're wondering, you know, what kind of potting soil do you really need, and is there a big difference? So I'm here to show you. Sorry, I'm here to show you what makes for a great potting soil. Wow, this is really warm too. Here, actually, let me put it here. Let's try this here, like this. Take a look. So in here, you'll see potting soil usually is made up of pretty much 3 different ingredients. One is you get the peat, and peat is really those fine mesh particles that you can see in there. Well, that's what peat is, and what that has is some incredible properties. One is that it doesn't break down very well. It holds the moisture in, and yet it allows for water flow too, and some air movement, so it stays nice and loose throughout its life. It's a key ingredient in some great potting soils. Now, bone dry, this peat tends to actually wicker away water. It doesn't suck it up when it's bone dry. That's why a little bit of surfactant, a little bit of spread or sticker is usually added to peat. So that makes for the great potting soil. Now, surfactant, because it's man-made and it's technically a chemical, that's what it causes it to be not organic. So if you're hoping to do it in having an organic potting soil, that's usually without that surfactant in it. Other ingredients in there is perlite, and this is these guys right here, these little white pieces of perlite. And what that does for your potting soil is actually holds in water, holds in air, creates some air pockets, and makes the soil porous. What we don't want is that to be really thick and heavy, so that there's no air pockets or water flowing through it at all. So that's what that perlite is added. Finally, now I don't see if I can't see some larger pieces. Yes, I can. Right here is you get pieces of decomposed bark. So actually you shouldn't have something as big as something like this in there. But so it's made of those 3 ingredients: peat, perlite, and bark in our potting soil, which is actually soil-less mix, is oftentimes what it's called. But I wanted to make sure, now the difference in good potting soil and bad potting soil, or should I say cheap potting soil, is the degrees of these mixtures. Good potting soils have a lot of peat in them, and they have a high high quality of peat. There's different grades of peat, and usually the cheaper potting soils have a cheaper grade of peat. And then less bark, maybe a little bit more of that perlite. So that's what makes for a great potting soil. Now, when we do hanging baskets, which is really important, is that what we want is that high peat content, so we can hold in water. It's really, really critical. Also, that when usually hanging baskets get bone dry in between waterings, especially when you do a small container, so that root ball gets sucked up, and then when you water, it goes around that watering, the root ball, and out the holes, down the side of the container, out the holes. And what we really want what we want the water to do is get sucked right into the middle of that root ball as quickly as possible. So that's what the added surfactants, added peat is responsible for. So anyway, wanted to kind of spend some time on that, what makes for a great potting soil. And it's important, especially if you're thinking about a great hanging basket, is to get that better potting soil to begin with, because over the life of the basket, it's going to make a big, big difference. So anyway, guys, that's the show for today. Hopefully it's helpful. Let me do the rule number 10 of the 18 rules for living from the Dalai Lama. And rule number 10 is, remember that silence is sometimes the best answer. Thank you very much, the Dalai Lama. Guys, that's the show for the day. Always live your passion.